I'm telling you, the chemistry is just so bad. Like, we are so awkward in bed.
Well, still, no improvement. Even after 3 months of dating, is she that bad in the bedroom?
It's so frustrating. She's so stiff and so vanilla. She just lies there like a piece of wood. And I'm the only one doing all the heavy lifting.
And I thought one of the best things about all that lesbian badoink-a-doink is that you know exactly what the other one wants. Like mind reading, you know? Like getting exactly what you want and getting to the climax, like all the time.
Ha! Far from it.
Okay, so hear me out. I might have an idea. So there's this course. It's quite pricey, but trust me, it's so worth it. Like, it will change your life.
Huh? What kind of course is this?
So it's called Lady in the Streets, Freak Between the Sheets, How to Walk the Line. I tried it last year, and let me tell you, Tom and I discovered a whole new world. Is your sex life boring? Got no spunk? Just the same old forth and back, forth and back, forth and back? Do you want to spice things up? Do you need someone to teach your lady how to be the nasty freak in bed that you need? Want her to be wild, insatiable and uncontrollable little sex monster?
Here at the Academy, we teach your partner exactly that. In 2 weeks' time, we will teach your better half how to perfectly walk the line of being both a respectable lady on the streets, but a naughty freak between the sheets. For further information and details, get in touch with...
Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.
Hi guys!
Hello!
Welcome to the brand new episode of Mosaic with me, Jenny.
And me, Sarah.
We are back with a proper one after a few weeks.
Yeah.
A proper one. We did have sort of like an experimental new segment that we debuted. When was that? Last week?
Yeah, that was last week.
Called Bad Chat. So that's more of a sort of, you know, a smaller, a shorter,
more
digestible,
of a chilled one.
Exactly, but now we're back to the serious things because there are serious things to discuss.
Of course, darling.
We need
always.
to save the planet. So back at it.
Back to being the social warriors that we are. Not really.
Exactly, yeah. Taking down the patriarchy one podcast at a time.
Oh God, just stop.
But summer is finally here.
Yeah, it's so hot.
How's it been over there?
So hot. It's really humid. It was raining yesterday quite a bit, but still really warm.
It was.
But yeah, it's like transitioning now into proper summer. I like swapped up my wardrobe, so like took out all my winter stuff, replaced it with the summer stuff.
Yeah, I know.
Have you done that yet?
Yeah, I have. Well, to be fair, I did that quite a while ago.
Oh, okay.
I still have like a few thin jumpers lying around because I just don't trust the weather.
That's true, actually, especially in London. But I just want to say, Ramadan, bloody hell. Yeah, I'm fasting today, guys, if you didn't notice. But Ramadan Mubarak, Ramadan Kareem,
Exactly.
to anyone who's fasting.
Hope you have a really nice holy month.
But yeah, it's been pretty tough so far, and we break our fast at like 9:15, so it's a long day basically. But
So when was the last time that you ate today?
the last time I ate was at 2:30 a.m. yesterday. No water, no food, nothing. Apparently, I'll reap the benefits health-wise, hopefully, when I'm an old lady.
See, this is what I used to be really suspicious of fasting and stuff, but then I heard that it's really good for your metabolism actually, because it gets to sort of, you know, go on reset.
Yeah, exactly. And also because your digestive system works quite a lot and it gets quite tired out. But if you're not really eating, then it's pretty chilled. It's on holiday.
Yeah, I had no idea, man.
Yeah, apparently you live longer, but we'll see. I might die tomorrow, so you never know. Anyways, moving on.
Happy thoughts.
Yeah.
Happy thoughts.
Other than that, not much has happened. Anything new with you?
Anything new with me? Well, yes.
Ooh.
So for the first time, I cut my own hair.
You what? You cut your own hair?
Yeah, I cut my own hair.
Oh my gosh.
I generally don't like going to the hairdresser or anyone. I just don't like. I don't like people touching me because the physical thing. But I also don't trust people because I'm still traumatized. When I was like, I think I was 15, 16, and I had my eyebrows threaded. And they messed it up, and I was so deeply unhappy.
Yeah.
And because it's your face, you're just so uncomfortable in your skin, and you just don't want to go out, and you don't want anyone to look at your face. So since then, I just don't go to anyone threading my eyebrows, but I also don't go to hairdressers. So far, my mum's done it. But then I found this YouTube video where this girl was doing like layer cuts, and since I've got quite curly hair and quite long hair, I was like, even if I make mistakes, my hair's going to forgive me those mistakes. So yeah, man, I did that.
Oh, that's good. What does it look like?
Pretty good about myself. It's really good. Like, I don't want to, brag too much, but it's pretty damn good. It took me fucking ages though. Like, I think the video itself was like 15 minutes. I think I took about 40.
Oh damn, bloody hell. I don't know. Imagine cutting your own fringe though. Fringes are very risky because when that goes wrong, that messes up your whole face. Yeah. You are done.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't touch my hair if I had like short and straight hair. But I saw some like YouTube fails of beauty vloggers or whatever you call them. And it's just so funny. Like, some of them, they would, like, straighten their hair. I guess they just kept it in for too long, and, like, the whole lock would come off.
Oh, my God. What?
And you can, like, see their face, and they start crying, just having, like, a meltdown.
Oh, my God, that's scary.
It's just the funniest thing.
Oh, Lord.
It is quite scary, though.
It is. Hair's, like, a big deal. Whenever I go, I just never get exactly what I have in mind. Like, it just won't happen. Whenever I go to a hairdresser, they just always just do something completely different. Like, if it's either dye or just like a trim, it just ends up being like a bob when I just literally ask for like a centimetre off. Going to the hairdresser is a scary experience. Like, it's a lot. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. But hair is such a huge thing for me because I don't know, I'm not a person who has a lot of nightmares, but when I do have nightmares, it's either about me losing my hair or me losing my teeth.
Oh God, really?
Do you have those dreams?
I have the teeth one, but not the hair one. That must be a big deal to you then.
Yes, the hell out of me. I don't know what it actually means psychologically, but it's just the scariest thing I could imagine, like losing my hair and I sound so vain, and I like to think that I'm actually not, but yeah. I
mean, yeah, the hair thing, I've never experienced that, but the teeth, I have experienced that a lot. Like, I always wake up and I Google, like, what does losing teeth mean?
What does it mean? I imagine it means something like with fertility, or maybe.
I thought it was like the onset of like a disease or something.
Oh Jesus, that's lovely. So what, I have cancer?
No, not quite. But I think it means, I don't think it's a good thing. Okay, so it says representation of anxiety, a costly compromise or decision, radical change, or starting a new project or phase in your life. So just, I guess, feeling anxious about change, really.
Okay, fair enough.
It is quite common.
Yeah, because that would be a massive change to lose your hair or lose your complete teeth. Like, that would be a massive change.
I know, right? The worst. Oh, God. Bloody
Would
hell.
you rock it, or would you wear a wig?
I think I would try to rock it. Yeah, I think I would. I would get it trimmed really, like, low. I wouldn't go completely bald, but obviously if I did go bald, I'd try to rock it, do my makeup really bold and bright, big hoops. I'd own it. I think it'd give you a different kind of aura. Like a different personality.
That's true. That is true, actually.
What would you do? I can't imagine you bald.
Me neither, because I don't even have my whole my hair short, so it's kind of a terrifying thought. But I think I'd be too insecure to go. I'd like to be confident enough to go bald, but I'd probably have a wig.
Yeah. Because
you can be like, can you imagine? You could be like a redhead, you can be a blonde, you can be a brunette.
I know. What would be the first wig you'd buy?
It'd be a black, just stay classic and just like a long black one. But then I'd probably go just like, I work my way towards the crazy and then go like brown.
Yeah.
Then maybe like dark red until I like end up with like neon green.
Oh God. Yeah, I remember this woman, she was shopping for wigs. It was this reality show and she was like, darling, I have 20 wigs. They all have personalities. And she was like talking about them like they were people. Like, she was like, you have to work with them. You have to like be nice to them. Otherwise they don't sit well on your head, basically. And she was just like, yeah, they give me different personalities and stuff. Yeah.
She's
a bit kooky though.
No, but I can see that being though, that, you know, with different hair you sort of have a different personality. You know, with red hair you probably feel a bit sexy about yourself. You know, you for me with black hair I'd probably be just very much my normal self.
No, I know what you mean.
Blonde.
Yeah. Even when I dye my hair, it gives me a different. I don't know. I carry myself a bit more differently. Yeah, right. Fun times.
All right. Enough of an intro. I think it's time to sort of crack on.
Yeah, let's get on with it.
With the first segment, as it were, which is our somewhat usual 5 and 5. So, sorry, do you want to start with the questions for me first?
Okay, so we sent our questions to each other very last minute, so we're just going to kind of go with the flow and just come up with our answers on the spot.
Kind of wing it.
So number 1, how has your opinion of sex changed or evolved over the years, if it has?
So, a bit of a background info. I'm Hindu, or well, my parents are Hindu, and when I grew up, until I was about 14, 15, I was kind of religious. I was religious in the sense that my parents were religious, so I was. I didn't put too much thought into it, but you know, part of the teachings that come with Hinduism and sort of, you know, being Hindu, being South Asian, being Tamil, sex is something very sacred.
Okay.
And very holy. So, you know, and at the same time, it's also something sinful.
Okay.
So I've always been very conflicted about it, because on one hand, it's like, you know, you're not supposed to have sex until you're married. You know, you're only supposed to have sex with your husband. You're supposed to protect your hymen because it's sacred. But on the other hand, you never talked about it. It was always hush hush. It was a huge taboo. And it was considered something sinful to an extent. So my opinion of it from very early on was very conflicted. I didn't know how I stood in regard to it.
Is that religious? Is that religious and cultural, or just religious?
I think it's both, because even if you look at Muslim Tamils or Christian Tamils, it's the same principles, as it were.
Okay.
So from very, very early on, it was like a mix of fear of the unknown, I suppose, confusion, and also disgust. I think after kind of what actually happens, because you know when you're like 12, because you're like when 11, 12, and you actually find out in biology, because I knew through biology. My parents never sat me down. Thank the Lord for that.
That reminds me of a story, actually.
But yeah, so for me it was always very conflicted. How about you?
Can I just say, talking about biology classes and sex ed, I remember back at school, we were like in year 9, this was secondary school, it was a girls' school. We had a science teacher who was quite like, she looked like
Sexually frustrated.
No. Actually, quite the contrary. She was quite unattractive. She looked like Quasimodo's wife, but she was so lovely. She was really, really lovely. But you have to just picture this. When she was teaching us, she was like, guys, you know, like, and her voice was really deep. She's like, guys, you know, when you meet that special someone, and she was basically trying to explain like the G-spot to us, and we were just cracking up. And she was like, when you meet this special guy who has like a big enough thingy, and he'll be able to please you, and we were just like, oh god, not from you, please, we do not want to know this from you. It was just like the most awkward moment ever. But yeah,
it's so funny how these moments stay with you forever. Like that teacher probably didn't think much of that one lesson, but that sort of stay with you. You probably think about it when you get down to action. You're like, that voice comes back.
I know. That baritone deep woman's voice. Oh my god. Yeah, but she was like happily married, and she was always talking about her sex life, and she was a happy woman, so go her.
So how was that for you though, like when you grew up?
For me, I kind of came from the same background as you. Obviously, my dad's Muslim Sudanese, so I had quite a modest outlook to that kind of stuff. But then at the same time, I was brought up in London, and my mum's Italian, but to be fair, in Italy they are very conservative as well when it comes to that kind of thing. So they believe in like it's not really kind of like wait till marriage, but it's more like, okay, get a boyfriend. Most of the time it's like your childhood sweetheart, you grew up in the same city, your parents know each other, and you're with that person for a long time, and you end up, you know, sleeping with them and them only. That's normally what happens. But yeah, they are quite conservative. And then obviously there are other people that are a bit more laid back and like, you know, mind as much sleeping around and stuff. But for me, I mean, it's kind of been like you. So very modest, but then at the same time very Western. So I've had a bit of a conflict when it comes to that.
Yeah.
But for me, a rule of thumb is just like, if you feel safe and respected, then fine. And I'm not here to judge anyone at all, you know. But that's me, really. Keeping it very vague. But yeah, next one. So when was the time you felt really sexy? And for you, is that synonymous with being ready for sex or wanting sex?
No, like, no, not at all.
Okay.
For me, I feel sexy when I sort of feel good about myself, when I feel good in my skin. Mm-hmm. And that might be after, like, you know, a good workout, or when when you're about to go out, you've got your hair done, you've got a nice dress on, and you've got your makeup, and you're like, yeah, damn girl.
So have you ever is there anything that you've worn that makes you feel more sexy? So when you wear dresses, do you feel sexier, or does it not make a difference to you?
I do. That's actually another thought. Yeah, I do feel sexier when I feel sort of dresses with high heels. That's actually quite true. I never noticed that. But that said, even like wearing like nice lingerie, like even with a pair of jeans, like even that can make you feel really nice about yourself.
Mm-hmm. No, that's true. Yeah, it can.
Yeah, so it's got nothing to do with me wanting to dance a tango. It's just about me, just me and myself.
Yeah.
How I feel about myself, how I feel in my skin, and how confident I am. So yeah, how about you? Is that for you? Do you think that's synonymous?
No, I don't think it is at all. But I have, in terms of like wearing stuff that makes me feel great about myself, I feel like clothing does have a really transformative effect on you, like especially when it comes to like feeling sensual and whatever, like the certain like texture of clothes on you makes you feel a bit more alive, a bit more feminine, and yeah, certain clothes do have that effect on me. They make me feel more kind of confident, more myself. But then exactly, what you said as well, sometimes having a good workout or just feeling like you've done something really good, or something really kind of like, I don't know, when you do really nice things to people, it's kind of like, I'm really confident and I feel like great about myself and da-da-da. But anyways, we're talking about sexiness, so.
No, I know exactly what you mean. Like, even like after, writing a script or doing,
you're like,
that's kind of harrowing, but then finishing it and, doing a good work, and you're like, damn, you're good. You're like, you just feel good about yourself. You're just like, yep. You got it. You still got it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's got nothing to do with actual, sex.
Yeah.
I suppose.
It's weird, sometimes I feel even more empowered when I'm not having sex. Do you know what I mean? It's so weird. Even saying it is like, so I feel really awkward saying it. Like, it's still such a taboo word.
Thanks.
I think it's obviously because I'm at home probably as well. But yeah,
them parents be listening.
But yeah, it kind of shows you about my attitude to sex at the moment, and with what kind of relationship I have with it when my parents are around. But yeah,
one of the moments I feel least sexy is when guys stare at me.
Oh really?
Yeah, because when they stare at me, not when they check me out, but like when they stare at you, that disgusting sort of...
Oh god, yeah. Have you, some guys even the other day I was on the tube and this guy was like pulling out his tongue to me in a really weird way, like he was licking his lips, and I was like, oh my god, this guy is not doing this on a packed tube in London.
Yeah, that's happened to me as well. You just feel so disgusting. You're just like,
you do, like you need to take a shower straight away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Grim.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Moving on.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one. In your opinion, does nudity equate to sexiness? And if not, like other than that, what do you find sexy or a turn on in the opposite sex or in the same sex, whatever?
If I see Ryan Reynolds in a topless photo shoot, I'm not going to be like, ooh.
What was that? Ooh?
Like a disgusted ooh.
Oh, right.
But that said, it's skin itself doesn't turn me on. Like, it's other things that turn me. It's like a nice smile. If someone's really kind. Or like a really wicked sense of humour. I find that much more of a turn on than just bare skin.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I mean, like, free the nipple, right? I mean, just because it's bare skin, just because it's a breast, or a bottom, to me that doesn't mean sexiness.
No, of course not. And obviously we're women as well. With men, they're more led on by by the optics, you know, like by nudity and things like that. But for us, it's like we need a lot more of the emotional going on to actually
we're much
feel
deeper
sexually
human
attracted.
beings.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I have met a lot of guys that need a lot more substance to feel attracted to a woman. So yeah, I'm not speaking for all men.
Yeah, but I like to think that when it comes to when it comes to a relationship, all men want more than just, you know, a nice pair of tits or
definitely.
Derriere, I think, you know, they all want to have an actual personality.
Yeah, so I think it's a lot more meaningful, obviously, for both parts when you end up having sex and you're both more, you know, emotionally involved with each other and there's like a deeper connection there. Cheesy cheese, but true. But I mean, in terms of like feeling sexually attracted to someone immediately, I think for a woman it's a lot harder. Actually, I have felt sexual attraction for someone like as soon as I've like met them or laid my eyes on them, but that had nothing to do with nudity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But again, I think it's more than just, you know, the physical attributes. It's so much more. It's the way he smiles, the way he acts with other people, and like within that, you're like, yeah, I want me some of that cake.
Oh Jesus, take the wheel. But yeah, all right then. Next one. What are your thoughts on celibacy? I think it's kind of the new rage right now. Well, in my circle of friends, anyways. But tell me what you think.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm obviously all for it. I mean, I think everyone has sort of their own time. Like, you know, some are ready when they're 16, some are ready when they're 26, and some when they're 36. And, you know, you just do you. That's speaking of temporary celibacy, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That I'm all on board for. But permanent celibacy, like Catholic priests or nuns, like, that's another matter. I mean, like, what? Really?
What?
For the rest, I feel like that is a big commitment.
I know.
I mean, I don't really know the rules. I don't know whether they're allowed to sort of, you know, play the fiddle themselves. Because I guess that would make it a bit more bearable. But just the idea is just, it's a tough one, isn't it?
I think a lot of people are deciding, because there are so many arsehole men out there, that they're just honestly, that's what the decision is mainly based on, just the fact that the men out there are just so low quality.
Scumbags.
Yeah, that it's kind of like, you know what, it's better to just protect myself from that. And also I feel like when you do get involved with someone intimately, it blurs your vision a bit, so you're kind of blinded to all the bullshit that they come to you with. And a lot of people have said that, you know, just when you're involved with them, you're just like so smitten and you're in the cloud of like sex and whatever, that you just forget all their bad traits. So I feel like that's fine. I feel like that's a pretty good thing, actually. If you feel like, you know, you've slept with the wrong people in the past and you kind of want to have like a clear head going into the next relationship, then I feel like that's a pretty good idea. And yeah, a lot of my friends are doing that, like going through temporary celibacy, or a lot of them have been active, but then they've been like, you know what, because of my bad decisions, I feel like
I'm done.
I'd rather be celibate until I meet my husband, kind of thing.
Okay.
Like a lot of people have expressed that kind of opinion, and I think that's fair enough. I think that it's a pretty good thing.
No, absolutely, yeah. You know, whatever floats your boat, you know.
Yeah.
Whatever you think is right, I think that's what you should stick with. I feel like it's easier these days to sort of, you know, to assert these ideas and these concepts, to, you know, to either be sexually active, or to just say, you know what, I'd rather not do it for the next 5-6 years. And let my hymen grow back. Whereas I think 10 years back it would have been more difficult, because there was an expectation to just do it, because that's what everyone does and that's what you do. You just do it.
No, I think it really is all the rage at the moment. Like I see it on shows quite a lot as well. A lot of people are abstaining from it because they feel like it's the right thing to do, and fair enough. Like some people feel quite empowered by it. I think
exactly, yeah. There's an element of sort of taking back your own body and making your own decision, and sort of, you know, empowerment basically, which is great.
And I feel like you are more focused when you're not doing it, because have you heard the thing that athletes apparently don't like have sex for like,
I've heard that,
because apparently it makes you less focused.
Yeah, I've heard that. I heard that actually when so that's this cricket player in India called Virat, and he wasn't allowed to bring his girlfriend to, I think they were playing in Australia, Like, it was one of the final, like, World Cups or whatever. He wasn't allowed to bring his girlfriend, but she was there, and they ended up losing one of the games. So the whole internet, all the cricket fans, like the extreme cricket fans, they were like, it's all because of her.
Oh, no.
You know, she was bad juju, and they just all jumped on the bandwagon, just sort of, like, started on this hate war again, so that she sort of, I guess, took the energy from him or something.
Oh, God.
But yeah.
Yeah, they do say that a lot, that it just makes you unfocused and a bit lazy.
Is that scientifically backed?
I don't know. I feel like it might be, just because a lot of...
Really?
Yeah, like a lot of people going into the Olympics and like proper athletes like don't do it. And like football players as well. It's like a known thing. They just don't do it the night before or whatever. But yeah.
That's interesting. I wonder how much of it is superstition and how much is actually science. Because I used to think that... I think someone told me ages ago, and this might be completely BS, but someone told me that it releases stress
Okay.
to do it. And it makes you sort of less anxious, and just, you know, like when you're anxious, don't just do it for the sake of it, but you know, doing it makes you probably release certain hormones, and you just feel a bit more at ease afterwards.
Yeah.
So I would have thought that it makes you, just calmer.
Like in a good way, so it would be a good thing to do.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, and not like it takes away your energy or your focus.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think generally, it probably makes you a bit like more lethargic, and you're more kind of like, you know, you have that after sex vibe where you're just chilled and like your body's kind of worked out, I guess. But then a lot of people, I've just Googled it here, and it says that there's a BBC article, and it says the prevailing myth of sex before sport. So maybe it is more of a myth, but I think athletes tend to stay away from it. Better to be safe than sorry, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're more kind of focused.
You don't want to take the risk when you're at the Olympics.
Yeah.
That's true.
Okay, so next one. If you could tell your younger self something about sexuality, what would it be and why?
I think the main thing I would say is just to relax.
Okay.
And that's not that isn't necessarily only to the younger me, but also the current me. I think I just tell myself to just take it easy. Whatever you want to do, however you want to do, whenever you want to do it, that's fine. And it's cool whatever you do, because there's no right or wrong. Like, because growing up in the 90s, especially in the West, as a Tamil girl, there was a lot of pressure. You know, you had to sort of satisfy both cultures, both societies. And you know, one hand you had the Tamil standards, which was obviously, you know, obtained from it. You can't have sex or even think about it before you get married. And on the other hand, you've got the West, where it's sort of, you're expected to have certain experiences. So I was always very confused, sort of behind two. Behind two chairs? What's the expression?
I'm not too sure. Sorry, can't help you out here.
So yeah, I've always quite anxious about that. It's always something that was sort of, you know, on my mind. I never knew what to do. What was the right thing to do? What's the wrong thing to do? Am I doing the right thing now?
I think, growing up you have a lot of conflict, don't you, either way? Because it's interesting that in most Western culture it's really good for you to be sexually experienced. Like, it's like a really, really good thing. But then at the same time, a lot of people in Western culture are like, well, if your body count is more than well, that's a bit slutty.
Exactly, yeah, you've got a certain number.
It's like, well, what am I supposed to do then? As a young person, that is pretty hard. Yeah, I mean...
So the lesson would just be to just relax, just do you. Whatever feels comfortable, that's the right thing. Don't feel pressured by society, by your family, by religion, or by your partner.
Of course,
to do something that you're not comfortable with, you know, and feel free to talk about it with anyone, because there's no shame in it. I think that's sort of, you know, the lesson for me, but also the lesson for everyone else.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I would probably say the same to myself as well, and also that respect is so important. Like, when you're in a relationship, you know, if you don't have respect and you don't feel safe and you feel pressured, then it's not meant to be, and it's not for you. And don't think, because everyone else is doing it, it's the right thing to do. No, not at all.
Or because, you know, you're not doing it, you're a bad girlfriend.
Don't listen to that stuff at all. Like, it's your body, you're gonna have to live with that, you know, forever. So do whatever you're happy with and whatever you're proud of, and the rest will follow.
Exactly. Look at us wise women here spouting words of wisdom.
Oh God. Cringe.
Alright, my time. You ready?
Yeah, go for it.
First one. When was the first time you ever saw porn, either in magazine or in video?
Ew.
Man. Straight into
Oh
it. Bam!
gosh, yuck.
Left hook.
First time I came across it. I've never actually like sat down and watched it because like it's my thing. But the first time I remember guys at school were like passing things on, like videos, and we were like, oh, what are you guys doing? And we got like a sneak peek of it, and I remember feeling like traumatized, actually traumatized. Those images in my head were just like there for days after, and I was like, oh my god, poor woman. I felt quite just disgusted. It's just so aggressive and like and I must have been around how old was I would say maybe year 8, so about 12.
So how old is that?
About 12 or 13.
Yeah, I think that was my age as well. It wasn't on the
share the
when I went to
experience.
school.
Yeah.
It wasn't because when I went to school, you didn't have cell phones with video playing.
Oh my god! Did you?
Like the coolest kids had those Nokia phones.
Oh lord!
And that had Snake
the
on
Snake
it.
game, yeah.
And I was born in '88. No, the first time that I sort of got in contact with that kind of material was, like on late night TV, you have those
XX babes or whatever.
Sex headlines.
Yeah.
And they have like these
models, these wonderful ladies,
porn stars, whatever you want to call them, advertisement. So that was my first experience, and I was just I didn't know that world existed, and I was just so shocked, but I was also quite repulsed by it.
Yeah, because
at that age I was still under the impression that you don't do that, you don't talk about it, it's a hush thing.
Yeah.
And it's something very sacred, very special. So how dare they sort of be on telly and sort of flaunt it that way? So I was quite taken aback, and I was like, "What? I don't want to see this. This is not right."
Oh god, judgmental 13-year-old you was like, these sluts.
I was so judgmental though, like no shit, man. I was yeah.
Really, that's changed quite. You've taken quite a U-turn because you're very liberal now. Like you're you're not judgmental.
Well,
at all.
because once I started, when I was about 16, 17, I started taking philosophy courses, in high school, and that's when I started, losing my religion, as it were.
Yeah.
And then I sort of started really educating myself and reading up on shit, and but yeah, I had my prick phase when I was younger. That was when I was like, I'm so much better than everyone.
Oh, really? How old are you?
Like, because I have a certain face that sort of looks like I'm a good girl.
Okay.
And people used to think that I'm this really nice girl, and I was a nice girl. I had really good grades. I did like extracurricular stuff, and I was religious or whatever that meant.
And then you hit puberty
rebellious.
and all hell broke loose.
Yeah. But at that point, I was like, "Oh, Jenny's such a good girl," and I was sort of like the poster girl in our Tamil community. I was like, "Oh, look at Jenny," and I was at such a bloody high horse, and I was so judgmental, and it just and now I've become sort of like the outcast of the society because I'm 28, I'm not married, no kids, so it's like, what the hell?
Oh,
what are you doing?
It could be worse.
I'm fine with it, man.
Yeah.
I'm fine with if those kind of people want to judge me, I'm cool with it. Keep judging me.
Yeah, of course. Like you've reached an age
that
now
means I'm kind of doing something right if those kind of people judge me.
Yeah, you rebel.
But yeah, moving on. Second question. Comparing the sort of the virgins. I suppose it's something that we kind of touch upon, but comparing sort of the virgins and the non-virgins in your friend circle or sort of your environment, what would you say is the ratio? And if the ratio was reversed, like the numbers, would you think it odd? Would you think it weird if they're
okay, well, most of my friends are from London, right? And there within that there are subdivisions. So I've got my Arab Muslim friends, I've got the girls that I went to school with, and then I've got a lot of friends from Dubai as well. If I look within those groups, it's so relative culturally, like depending on what kind of religion they were brought up with. But mostly in general, when I look at my London friends, like it's mainly like a higher ratio for the non-virgins compared to the virgins, especially at my age now. Would I find it shocking if it was reversed? Yes and no, just because of how mixed my group of friends are. But I
true,
probably
okay.
like thinking about people in London and how they were brought up. Then yeah, I mean, I remember being in secondary school, and this guy. Okay, we were 14 at the time, right? And this guy was like, "Oh, you guys really want to be 14-year-old virgins?" Yeah, and I remember at the time thinking, "Shit, like, oh my god, this guy might have a point." Like that's how like impressionable I was, and like
Yeah.
if I didn't have, you know, like if I wasn't strong-willed and I came from like probably, you know, a background where it was kind of more promoted and whatever, like if my parents were like, yeah, go out there and do it, whatever, then I probably would have at that age. But can you believe it, like in London, guys that age were like saying that kind of stuff. I think 14
they're
isn't
probably just
even
doing, like, mind games.
yeah, 14 isn't even like the average age. It's probably a lot lower now.
Would you
a lot
think?
younger. Yeah, I think so.
Jesus, what the
I
hell?
would say that, yeah. But
When I was growing up, like, it was like 16. But even with 16, people were like, oh my
that's
god.
young,
okay.
yeah. I think now that I'm like nearly 25, that is literally a baby age. Like, you are a baby. You're 4 years after being a 10-year-old. Like, 4 years.
Oh, that's really awkward. Oh, that's really gross. Okay, moving on. Next question. So the whole podcast, I sort of realised when I wrote the script, it's very heavily women focused. It's probably intentional, I suppose, but comparing sort of female virgins to male virgins, what do you think is the difference between these two? What kind of perceptions comes with each?
Well, obviously, I feel like men that are virgins normally lie, especially young guys. Like, they're like, oh yeah, I brought her right back in the alley and did her up
In the alley,
up in the
bastard.
arse. Just like, you know, lad chat.
Just up against the trash bin.
But it's like they've never even touched a woman's face, probably. Like, but
Wiped it clean with a banana peel afterwards.
oh god. But yeah, I mean, it depends what kind of social circle you're in again. But I mean, it is more of a universal thing that men being virgins is kind of seen as a sad thing, isn't it? Like, oh god,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah,
inexperienced
yeah.
and you're just a loser and you're a geek and whatever. Like, it's a pretty negative thing, I think, universally, even in, like, I guess religiously as well. It's probably, you know, in different religious groups, people are more
Yeah.
kind of relaxed when it comes to men.
Absolutely, like even in Eastern cultures, you know, Middle East, Arab, sort of South Asian cultures, whereas women are sort of penalised for having premarital sex. For guys, it's just okay because it's just lads being lads. But then I think, because, you know, most of these cultures don't support homosexuality, it's like, who do you think they're going to do it with?
I know.
Like, a donkey.
I know.
Like, clearly it's going to be another woman, so...
Have you seen the
just-
Dancing Boys of Afghanistan? That reminds me of that, actually.
The Dancing Boys of... It's not a dance crew, is it?
No, it really isn't, unfortunately. It's about how they sexualise children there, and they're saying a lot of that.
Oh my god!
Yeah, has to do with, you know, the fact that men and women are segregated, and but I don't know, maybe it is a product of that, who knows. But I think extremism in both ways, like when it comes to sex, is wrong. Like, it's not going to turn out well.
Oh dear Lord.
But yeah, but I mean, did you just Google it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Sorry.
it's quite sad.
Yeah.
It's interesting though, give it a watch, it really is. Like, talks about Afghani society.
Yeah, if I want to feel really depressed.
And
then
a
I'll go for that.
byproduct of segregation. For women, it is, I feel like the hymen is so sacred. And isn't it true that a lot of people aren't even born with a hymen, actually?
What? I thought that was a really low percentage.
Oh, is it a low percentage? I didn't know that. I thought it was quite common that a lot of women don't have a hymen. What do you do if you're like, you're actually effed? If you're like, if you get married, you're really like religious, your family is, and they want to see like, you know, the sheet after with the blood stain or whatever, and you actually don't have a hymen, and they're like, oh my god, that's
Well, here you go.
bloody
The hymen does
unlucky.
not seem to have a specific physiological function or purpose. Well, no, but it has a huge cultural purpose.
It's weird though, isn't it? Like, talking about religion and things that are there for no reason, like the G-spot, for example. We don't really need the G-spot, do we? And like the woman doesn't really need the orgasm and stuff. And isn't it the same thing kind of like with STDs as well? Like, why do we have STDs? Is that a way for God to like smite us for being sexual beings?
I think it's just sort of bacteria, isn't it?
What, STDs?
Yeah, isn't it? Like, it's just
Yeah, no, it's just something I'm curious about, because it's like things that, you know, there's no really reason for them to actually kind of be there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, why do we have these things? I think as a kid I used to think that as well. I was like, oh, okay, is that because being sexual is a bad thing? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, really? I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
Why?
And it's same with the hymen as well. Why do we have that?
That's true. Why do we have that?
Weird.
Because there seems to be no physiological function now. Maybe there used to be in the past to sort of keep it clean, maybe, so that, because, you know,
maybe
when we were apes we were naked, so maybe just to sort of keep the dirt from entering and sort of infecting us inwards. It was sort of like a shield.
Oh, that's true. It could be that. I've no idea.
Okay. Next question. So there seems to be this common idea that people, especially women, have their sexual peak in their early 20s. Mm-hmm. Would you agree with that?
No, not at all. Not at all. I've seen loads of series and programs and stuff like that when women are like, oh my god, I'm in my heat, I'm having a hot flush. And that's a lot of women that are like going through menopause. And it's like a known thing as well that apparently your libido goes up in your 40s, apparently. Like, it goes back to being the same level as a teenager's.
Oh, you don't agree? You don't think that you have one of the peaks in your teenage years?
No, I don't. If we're talking about libido, no. That if we're talking about like maybe attracting more partners, then yeah, I guess so. Like, you're probably having more of it in your 20s if you're single than in your 40s if you're single.
Yeah, I agree, because there's this idea that when you're sort of, you know, still plump, I suppose, and, you know, without no wrinkles. Because them wrinkles are not sexy, we all know this.
But to be fair, I just pictured like there are loads of like older cougar women actually that are pretty kind of like down with their sexuality, and they're pretty confident.
Yeah, but do you know what? I genuinely think that once you enter sort of your mid-30s, that's when you have, well, not the absolute peak, but one of the peaks, because that's when you sort of start to realise what you like, what you don't like, what you're okay with, and you also...
So you enjoy it more.
You enjoy it, but you also build up the confidence at that point to just say, you know what, I want you to do this, I want you to just discuss it with your partner and not just be like a piece of wood.
Mm-hmm. No, that's true. That's
being rumped. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you sort of more active in it, and you're taking decisions, you're leading it, and you just you're finding out your own
lot
body.
To do with, because a lot of my friends have said that as well, you know, like having a good kind of sex life is synonymous with being more open about what you want, communicating and blah blah blah. So you do get that also that can happen in your late 20s, and it depends on your partner as well, how comfortable you are with them, how long you've been with them. Maybe it makes you more willing to talk to them about it. But I know what you mean. When you get to 30, you're just like, you know what? Like, I've only got about 30 years left, 40 years left. Like, let me just make the most of it and, like, have good sex while I'm around.
Absolutely, yeah.
But, yeah.
All right, last question. So would you say, historically speaking, would you say that we have progressed in terms of acknowledging and fighting for women's sexuality and for women's sexual rights? Or does it seem like we've actually taken a step back?
I think yeah, we definitely have. I think we're acknowledging sexuality a lot more, definitely. I mean, you can't say it's the same as, like, you know, I don't know, like back in the suffragette days or whatever. Like, women are a lot more, they take a lot more ownership of their sexuality. And it's spoken about more, and it's celebrated more. And it's more kind of like, well, sexuality is every, you know, women's kind of God-given right. Which is a better attitude to have. It's like, why are you going to avoid it and pretend that it's not there?
To be honest, I think it's quite twofold. On one hand, I do think that, you know, we have more discussion about it. There is more overt sort of verbal acknowledgement of it, but at the same time, I do think that back in the days of, you know, the Egyptians or you know, like early days of sort of Indian culture, it was more okay for women to be sexual, because Cleopatra, for instance, she was a very sexual woman. You know, she owned her sexuality in every way possible. Or even if you have sort of look at the Kama Sutra, or, you know, if you go around India or sort of the Southeast Asia, there's so many temples actually in Tibet and in India that have stone carvings or drawings, very, very sexual depictions of, group, oral, and all kinds of sex going on, like in actual temples.
Oh, okay.
So I do feel like it was more okay to be naked, to just own your body. There was no shame around sex. There was no stigma attached to it. Back in, 100 BC, 300 BC. But verbally speaking, like in terms of discourse, in terms of discussion, I think now is sort of the peak, because now we're discussing it.
Yeah, I agree.
We've got theories around it. We've got academics talking about it. We've got so many voices coming in. People of color, women,
and even in just like pop culture, and even on social media, you see a lot of women, posing, and they're just like, yeah, I'm sexy, or yeah, I'm a woman, yeah, I have a pussy, and I'm proud, and they're kind of,
Are you talking about Miley Cyrus?
Well, no, not. It's actually a lot of girls kind of do that. They're more kind of confident with their body and happy to display it out there for everyone to see, and they're like, yeah, it's a pussy, if it scares you then good for you, kind of thing. They're more laid back, which is, it's fine. If you want to do that, then kudos to you, whatever. So I think in terms of discourse, it is a lot better, but then in terms of actually fighting and acknowledging sexuality, I think there's a lot of work that can be done.
Oh, yeah, we've got a hell of a long way to go.
Yeah.
Long way, man. All right, I think that's pretty much wraps up our 5 and 5. And moving on to, well, I suppose the second part of the sex and sexuality debate.
Let's do it. Can I just say, I'm like 6 hours into my fast, and I'm like, if I slip into a mini coma, just bear with me, please.
Just start going silent, just fainting. She's like, Sarah!
Yeah, sorry, I just need to like revive myself. I'm just like slapping my face a bit. Okay, so first of all, I was thinking to cover a bit on feminism and clothing. I don't know if you heard about Piers Morgan's comments on Emma Watson posing topless, and how she's catering to the male gaze, and she's not a good advocate for feminism. So,
God, he's such an insufferable little shit.
I know, he just has something to say about everything. And to be honest, I'm really not that bothered. Like, if she wants to pose topless, then let her do it. Who gives a crap? And it's got nothing to do with feminism at all.
No.
So, yeah, apparently she criticised Beyonce ages ago, saying, I find the way that Beyonce, like, prances around naked and whatever, like, in a bikini or whatever, I find it that it's quite detrimental, and it's not great. And then apparently she did a U-turn and she said actually it's quite empowering. So he was criticising her for that as well. So yeah, thoughts on that?
Do you know, how old is Emma Watson? Do you know?
No.
Because I think she's quite young, isn't she? She's like 20-something?
She's definitely in her 20s, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know exactly the interview she gave about Beyonce. I don't know her actual words about it. If she did diss her, it was out of boundaries. Because I think, the thing about feminism is that you just let everyone do their thing and just don't interfere. Whatever you want to do, whether you want to wear a burqa, or whether you want to wear a headscarf, or whether you want to be naked, or wear pantsuits, it's up to you. You do you, I do me. That's it. So for her to go, regardless of what she did or what she was gonna do, regardless of that, I think it was wrong of her to criticize her. That said, I think you should cut people some slack for just evolving and evolving their opinions on matters. So, okay, maybe she did make a mistake on that in regard to that commentary of Beyonce's music video. But then I think it's okay for her to realize that mistake and just be like, you know what, fair enough, she did it, she rocked it, it was great, and now I'm gonna do it as well because I feel like doing it. And I think it's just so difficult being in the limelight, man. Like every single word you say is going to be scrutinized,
absolutely everything
beyond. And she made a silly comment, and it's come back to bite her in the behind, that she then showed the world in a song, or maybe she didn't, whatever.
But yeah, these are her words on it, on the Beyonce thing.
Oh, right, okay, you got
So
it.
she said, I'm quite nervous to bring it up because I still haven't really formulated my own ideas about it. But Beyonce's new album, I don't know whether you've spoken to anyone about it, but my friend and I sat and we watched all the videos back to back, and I was really conflicted. I so admire her confidence to put her music out in that way. In the midst of all these very sensationalist MTV performances, I was so psyched about that. On the one hand, she's putting herself in a category of a feminist, is a very strong woman, and she has that beautiful speech by Chimamanda in one of her songs, but then the camera, it felt very male, such a male voyeuristic experience of her, and I just wondered if you had thoughts about that. So that's her interview. These are just...
But then she didn't criticise anything!
No, and then, hold on, she says... She does make it clear that she's performing for him, and the fact that she wasn't doing it for a label, she was doing it for herself, and the control that she has directing it and putting it out there, I agree, is making her sexuality empowering because it is her choice. The second is that I would say you do get sense of, I can be a feminist, I can be intellectual, I can be all of these other things, but I can also be okay with my femininity and being pretty, and with all these things that I thought might negate my message or negate what I am about. That really is the most interesting thing about the album. It is so inclusive and puts feminism and femininity and female empowerment on such a broad spectrum. So yeah, he completely took that out of context.
That is, sorry, maybe I'm really, really thick, but there's no real criticism. She's wondering, she's literally saying, what's your opinion on that? Because I don't know, I'm not sure, I haven't read on it, I don't have a strong opinion on it, I'm just wondering. Aren't people allowed to fucking wonder?
No, obviously not. Like, it's just an absolute headache being famous, yeah. And she said, feminism is not a stick with which to beat other women, it's about freedom, it's about liberation, it's about equality. Amen. Like, it has nothing to do with what you're wearing. And I feel like a lot of people do use clothing to, like, prove a point or to combat, you know, sexism, and which is good, but sometimes it's completely just used in the wrong way, I feel. I've got a funny story actually. So in Dubai, I don't know if you know about the abayas, you know, like the full length black thing that women wear, like with the hijab.
Oh, you mean the face veil with only the two slits?
No, it's literally just like the headscarf with the black gown, but the face is uncovered.
Covered. Oh, right. Okay.
So in Dubai, like obviously the local women wear that, and there was like a kind of Dubai, like a beach party celebration thing, and a lot of the women kind of like took off their abayas at the door, and they'd just be wearing like a bikini underneath.
Okay, so was that like an all-women event?
No, it wasn't. It was actually just like a mixed event, which is just nuts. It's like you can tell so little by the way people, you know, dress every day. Like, it has absolutely... It's just something to... It's kind of like a little note to say, you know, don't judge people by what they wear, especially women, because it really does not mean anything at all.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so true. A lot of people just wear things, like, I just wear things because I don't even think about what I wear. I don't really think about, because, you know, I'm privileged in the fact, you know, where I live, it's quite open-minded, so I don't have to worry about whether it shows my thighs, whether I'm going to be sexualized, whether I'm going to be objectified. I don't put too much thought into that. But it must be just so harrowing to live in a community, in an environment where you just have to think about every single thing.
Yeah, it's stressful. And a lot of girls, even though they do wear the hijab, like I watched this YouTuber, she's a British hijabi, and she was like, obviously I don't like wearing the hijab, like, you think I actually like this? She was like, if God was out the picture I wouldn't wear it, but because God is in the picture for me, I have to wear it, and it's just the way of life. But obviously I'd like to feel the wind in my hair, you know, and just go out without my hijab. But she was like, you know, it's a way of life now. I've worn it since I was 12. I've never stepped out of the house without it. It's not like a part-time thing for me. But interestingly enough, there's actually something called the hijab for men as well, and it's not what you think. It's not a headscarf, but it's hijab basically means like dressing modestly. So, you know, you can kind of translate that in whatever way you want, interpret it in whatever way you want. But for men, it's like there's actually a hijab as well, which means like don't wear tight clothing, wear like modest clothing, nothing that's like overly sexual or overly glamorous and like, you know, showy offy. But yeah, that's something I learned the other day. I didn't know that men had a hijab as well. It's just because women are kind of more they're seen as more, like sexual creatures, and they're like the temptress, and
Exactly.
there's more kind of focus on their hijab. But yeah, men have one as well, so there you go.
So for me, I think one of the first times that I realised how sex as in the anatomical sex, our reproductive organs, how that is different from our sexuality, was on the topic of menstruation.
Okay.
Like we live in a society where everyone wants, expects women to have healthy reproductive organs. Everyone wants a woman to have children, and wants her to have sex, or wants to have sex with her rather. But no one, I realize, really is willing to talk about how the woman has sex, or how she enjoys sex, or even how the body really, really works. Mm-hmm. And for me, this awkwardness, this sort of double standard, especially noticeable when you talk about menstruation, like, be this just simple moments when you sort of, you're out with friends, with male friends, you're on your period, you just grab your tampon or your pad before you go to the loo. Like sometimes some guys just have such a horror on their faces.
Really?
When they see that. Have you never met any, like, none of your friends?
No, not really. I mean, yeah, I've met guys that, like, I don't really want to know that, but not horror. I don't think, I haven't seen horror yet.
There's that look of sort of disgust and like, oh, why aren't you hiding it? Like, because you know how some girls just take their whole bag to the loo, or they just sort of like sneakily put it under their sleeves or whatever. I don't do that. I just just grab it.
Do you not? Oh my gosh.
No, because why should I? It's nothing to be.
No, it's not. But I don't know. I feel, I'm kind of guilty of that. I feel a bit shy, and like I don't want people thinking that I'm, messing around with my fanny in the loo, even if it is for my period. Do you know what I mean? I don't want them to have that image in their head.
Messing around with your fanny.
Like, I just don't want them to be thinking about that. I'd rather keep it private. And it's kind of like loo roll as well. I would, if I had to bring loo roll to the loo, I would hide it. I wouldn't just like wave it out in public.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I think I'm still a bit shy about my period and stuff.
Maybe it's because I grew up around a lot of boys, like obviously my dad, and I've got two brothers, like, grew up with like a lot of male cousins, so it was just there, and we knew it, like, my dad obviously knows, so I tell him to buy pads or buy me tampons, and I remember this one time I was in a pub, and I was on my period, and I don't know why I did, but I put my tampon on the table because I had to grab something else. And it was on the table, and he wasn't a mate, he was sort of an acquaintance, whatever, and he just sort of like stared at it, and he just couldn't believe it.
Really?
And this was like about, was it like 3 years ago? So this is an age where you should know about how female reproduction works. So it's just like, I don't know, for me it was I've never really understood why it's such a huge taboo. It's like, you clearly know. Yeah,
you're quite happy to put it in there, but you're not happy to know anything else about it.
Exactly.
No, I know what you mean. I agree. But have you heard about menstruation leave? They do it I think they're trying to do it in Italy, but they definitely do it in Japan.
Do they?
Yeah, or China. Was it China or Japan? They actually.
What's the reason?
Just because they feel like
consideration.
Yeah, just if they're in a lot of pain, or if they feel, emotionally a bit blue, so they get 3 days off. But apparently a lot of women in Italy are like kind of against it. I can't remember why, but there was like a bit of an outroar about it. Like, but yeah, it says apparently it risks making workplace inequality worse. So yeah, I think I read this thing. It was like 60% of women in Italy are employed, which is a lot lower than other countries in Europe.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah, and I think a lot of them, when they have kids, they tend to kind of like quit the job, or they end up getting fired. So it's quite bad. Like the whole employment system for women isn't great in Italy. So they feel like this will make it worse. I feel like it's a cultural thing as well, because in Italy the woman's very much more into the nurturing, role at home, where she's cooking and cleaning and things like that.
Yeah, I read that somewhere in India as well, in most urban cities, I think 1 out of every 3 women, so that's 33% of women only work.
Oh wow. That's
in urban cities, because they just want to sort of take care of children, and the focus is more on that. But this whole sort of discussion around sort of menstruation and the sort of the double standard that comes around it reminds me of the spoken word poem.
The first boy who held my hand told me boys don't want to hear about vaginas bleeding. Younger me could smell the misogyny. Vaginas only meant to be fucked, breasts only meant to be sucked, mouths only meant to blow. It's true, I know my waist meant to be compared to an hourglass. My voice only meant to quiver. Please, fast. Yet I am silenced, for all we boil down to is sexual interaction. Not just me, my mother, sisters, friends all quicken their pace post 8:30 in the evening. My mom telling me to wear skirts out less often, Nirbhaya and more left forgotten. We don't want to be another of India's daughters, do we? So I wear my jeans long and wear my tops high, don't show my cleavage or a hint of my thighs. Don't want to be mistaken for wanting it. Cause if I wear less, I'm more than just flaunting it, I'm risking it. Risking not my virginity but my life. My hymen seems to be sacred, told to keep it till I'm a wife. If not, I'm a whore, a slut and skank and more, not as pure as I was before. 15-year-old Lakshmi didn't like 32-year-old Guddu back, and Guddu dealt with it real maturely. He made her the victim of an acid attack. Lakshmi could be your sister, your girlfriend, your cousin. We're girls, women, human, not a burden. So I asked my male friend to drop me home because his privilege will protect mine. I'm sorry, Dad, I was catcalled in my uniform at the age of 9. This isn't an all-man thing, I know, trust me, I do. But the men I can trust are only a few. At the age of 12, my bra straps are sexualized. At the same time, we don't get damn sexual rights. My aunt raped by a husband, but marital rape is fine. Pucker up, it's a mad design. Get in line. So what I'm trying to say here tonight is, I'm sorry, I was brought up in a family where my brother taught me wrong from right, where my mother believes in our generation to better the world and make it slightly easier for each and every girl. Thank you. For I see men in this room reaching out for help, realizing the bane of the womb, being saved by the saying of a few. We're all collectively reaching out for you.
Yeah, which I think just perfectly sort of sums up
it does,
the double standard and the misogyny that sort of, comes around the female body in general. But this whole discussion reminds me of this film. It's an Indian film called Lipstick Under My Burqa. Mm-hmm. It still hasn't been released because there's issues with sort of the certification. So basically the film revolves around 4 Indian women. Mm-hmm. I think they're aged from like 18 to 55. Mm-hmm. So you've got like, quite an aging widow, as it were. I think she's the 55-year-old. You've got a woman wearing a burqa. You've got a mother of 3. You've got, a younger working woman in India. And it's just about them, sort of how they come to terms with their own body, their femininity, and their sex and their sexual rights. And I've seen the trailer, and there are some somewhat steamy scenes because it's about how the woman enjoys. So it's shot and written from a female perspective. Mm-hmm. Internationally, it was quite well received, and I think it won the best film on gender equality. Okay. But in India, they weren't that impressed with it because it was from a female point of view, how the woman enjoys sex, which I suppose as a woman you're not supposed to enjoy it in India. You're just supposed to be the object to be fucked and not the one fucking, as it were. So the Indian Central Board of Film Certification refused initially to certify the film and release it, stating that the story is lady-oriented, their fantasy above life. There are sexual scenes, abusive words, and pornography that I suppose they considered offensive to society, which I think once again just makes the point that I made earlier, that there's this huge double standard women have to deal with. They have to be sexy, but they can't feel sexy. Yeah, offensive. Wow, that's pretty strong. Yeah. And it's funny, living in a society where we sort of sexualize and objectify left, right, and centre. It's our breasts, whether we're breastfeeding, it's our thighs, wearing skirts, it's our waist, our lips, just every single thing. No, it is very tiring. Even starting with kids. It's true. I feel like as women you can never kind of do right. Like you need to be like the freak in the sheets and the lady in the streets kind of thing, yeah. But then it's like you can't really do that because you're seen as a hoe. It's just, well, you can never get it right. It's just kind of sad, really, that you have to, as a woman, you have to like manage the sexual desires of men. It's like your fault, and if the man ignores you, it's kind of like your fault because you're not sexy enough and you're not pretty enough or beautiful enough. And then on the other hand, if she objectifies you, it's kind of your fault
if he objectifies her, it's it's her fault either way.
Never do it right, man.
No.
And then you wonder why we're rebelling. Well, this is clearly why.
Yeah, man. Okay, so next thing, is it right to date someone or sleep with someone that is a lot younger than you? So take, for instance, like Kylie Jenner and Tiger. I think she was 17 when they got together and he was about 26. And obviously she was underage at the time, so they kind of denied the relationship up until she reached 18, and then they were like, yeah, well, we're dating. And it's like, okay, you guys are dating all of a sudden.
Just started yesterday on the birthday party.
Literally.
Very fortunate, really.
I know, like her birthday gift, a boyfriend. But so what do you think of that? Do you think age difference matters when it comes to sex, or what do you think?
I think it matters immensely, especially when the girl is so, or when one of the partners is so young. If you have to say they are legal, that phrase itself means that it's not okay. If you have to say that, but it's legal. No, the fact that you have to say that sentence makes the whole situation not okay.
Yeah,
one,
that's true.
Two, I think if when you're that young, you're so easily swayed and you're so perceptible to what your partner says and what society says. You're so easily influenced that I don't think it's good. And you might think that you're doing this because you know yourself and these are your decisions, but you are actually a child.
Yeah, you're a baby.
When you're 17, 18, 19, you are actually a child. I know you think you're a grown-ass woman and man. But you're really, really not. Like, trust me. Like, I'm 28 and I'm not a grown-ass woman. Like, you are...
Hell no.
Yeah, it really makes me icky when I see, like...
I think, in my opinion, like, 5-year difference is the max limit. Above that, it kind of makes me question the person, like the man. If it's the man that's older, like, why can't you just get someone your own age? Why do you need to be with someone who's emotionally immature? Like, do you want to manipulate them? It brings up a lot of questions for me, and it doesn't sit right. And I just feel like, I don't know, there are a lot of people that think age is a social construct and like it doesn't really matter. Well, yeah, it freaking does. You've been on this earth a lot longer, you know a lot more, and that's just the way it is. Like, you know how to manipulate an impressionable person. Like, I know how to manipulate someone who's naive. Come on, like, that's anyone would. You're a witch. Well, yeah, true, but if you're older, you're bound to know more. You're bound to know how to persuade people and get what you want, and you just can't help doing it.
Yeah, like, you might even not do it with an intention, like, intentionally do it, but you just end up, just saying things, and they take it on as creed, because it's the age where it's like a sponge, they just suck up everything they hear, and they're just developing their personality. And you being you plays a huge, huge role in that. Yeah, no, that's true. I think sort of past the age of 25, I don't really see a problem whether it's 10, 5, 15 years. Oh, but okay. Below the age of 25, I think it's really like, even like 17 and 20, I'd be like, really? Does that have to happen? No, I agree. You really cannot find anyone in your age group just... No, it does. It definitely does hinge on that, like whether you're below 25, because it's that age where you just becoming who you are and you're forming your personality and your interests and your individual traits. That's another thing I'd probably say to my younger self, just like up until the age of 20, just have fun. Yeah, just be a kid, play, like who gives a crap about boyfriends and relationships. I don't know if you've seen this meme, but it's a meme of Kylie Jenner and there's a picture of like a normal looking child at 15, and then it says, I used to look like this at 15, now girls look like this or whatever. So what are your views on highly sexualized young people? See, it's a difficult one for me, because on one hand I'm like, they should have the right to be who they are and express who they are. But on the other hand, I'm like, they are children, so parents do have a responsibility to let them be children. So I'm hesitant to say you're not allowed to do that, you shouldn't do that. I'm not going to penalize or judge anyone for doing that, but I wouldn't allow my children to be wearing certain things or putting on makeup or just acting. Yeah, and I mean, also if you just look at it from like a biological perspective, why do you need to be attractive before your reproductive age? Do you know what I mean? It's a bit unnatural. It's like, why you don't need this enhanced beauty, like you have your childlike beauty. Why do you need to attract
anyone.
Exactly. You've got such perfect skin when you're 15,
Yeah,
16.
you
Why do you need
do.
to put on foundation and look like a tree without foundation?
Tree.
Like, what is even the point?
But I mean, at the end of the day, there's the other side that says, you know, just because you look sexy doesn't mean you are having sex. Do you know what I mean? And maybe it's fine for
This is
girls
true.
to...
This is going back to what we said earlier.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's all right to, you know, have a go with makeup and just, like, dress up sometimes, but it doesn't actually mean that, you know, you want it or whatever. But then there are, like, devious people out there that see it completely different, and you might be putting yourself at risk by being highly sexualized in a dirty, dark world.
Yeah, again, it's difficult because they maybe don't necessarily want to be sexualized. They just want to feel good about themselves. So them being sexualized, that's not their fault. It's the fault of these creepy men and women that make them into these sex objects. So, you know, I do get the point, but
I think for my kids in general, I would just say to them, just try to prolong your childhood. Like, who cares? And just,
yeah, exactly.
like, you'll have your whole life to wear makeup, but right now you are so cute as a kid, and just leave it at that. Like, you are perfect the way you are.
I probably wouldn't be as nice. I would literally be like, you're not allowed to do that shit. Like, that's probably why, you know, maybe
like,
it shouldn't be
throwing all their makeup in the
that shit
bin.
would not roll in my household, bitch.
Oh.
You better put on that jumper.
I remember
close it.
as a kid, I used to love fake nails. Like, I'd buy those plastic nails and just I just kind of like tap my nails on the desk and pretend I was a receptionist, and I thought, oh my god, I'm so grown up. But yeah, have you seen those kid pageants, and also, you know, like Irish gypsy kids that dress up in like wedding dresses, wear loads of makeup? So what do you think about that?
Not a fan.
Pretty scary.
I haven't seen the Irish gypsy thing, but I know child pageants, beauty pageants, and I think that's wrong because it's not their choice. They don't want to be on this on the stage wearing false lashes and 5 kilos of contouring and foundation and a wig. Don't do that to children. Just let them be bloody children. It's just some parents, honestly, there should be a test for who's allowed to
we said this
reproduce and
before,
who shouldn't. Honestly, half of the people, I would just freaking sew up their vaginas and just. Oh my god. Honestly, they're just such dumb parents. Again, I am really, really judgmental, especially when it comes to parenting. I get very, very sensitive when it comes to that.
Yeah, you do.
Because you are bringing up our future, and there's so much responsibility when bringing up your children.
There is, it's a lot.
You know, and I come from a cultural background where you expected to have children just for having children, just for the sake of it, and that pisses me off so much. It's like you don't even care how these kids are raised. You just want these girls to pop them out one after another, just so some random person is happy. Like, it just. You know, you need to put so much care and knowledge as well into bringing up children, and you need to educate them in so many things, including sexuality. And
you do. It ain't for everyone. It really isn't.
Speaking of sort of education and educating your children on sex and sexuality, did your parents have to talk with you? Because you sort of growing up, you know, your father being Sudanese Muslim, did he sit you down and be like,
no.
Sarah, let's talk about them birds and them bees.
The birds and them bees. You know what? No, they didn't. They never really did. I feel like I got my knowledge of it online. No, not porn, but just
porn,
no, like articles and magazines and romance. Oh my god, romance novels was
Playboy.
The one. No. Like literally just like
we talked about this once,
cheesy
didn't
novels.
we? Oh my god.
Yeah, like that's literally where I got my sex ed
save the
from.
romance novel industry, because
I know.
it's doing the job of parents and teachers out there.
It literally is. Like, what about you? Where did you get yours? Did your parents ever sit you down? I don't think they did
School,
they?
No. Psst, hell no, man. My parents still haven't acknowledged that, but
doesn't exist.
Very, very Asian in that regard. No, man, it was pretty much school and sort of talking with friends. And there was this magazine in Germany called Bravo, and they had this section called what was she called? She was like an agony aunt, but it was all Dr. Sommer. That's what she was called. And she was shout out to all the Germans out there. And she was so she was basically like a I think she was like a sex therapist or something, or maybe she was a gynecologist. And yeah, and you just have people write in about sort of their first sexual period experiences, or sort of like anxiousness. Oh, I'm in a relationship and I want to try this out, or my boyfriend wants to try this out. What do I do? And they sort of, they have like images of sort of. It was very classy. It was very educational-ish. And yeah, man, it taught me a hell of a lot of things, man. That's right. That and school, but mostly Bravo is where I got most of my sex ed from.
Oh wow. Okay, so question, with your kids, how are you going to do it? Because it is an uncomfortable conversation to have, but is it a necessary conversation to have with all like the resources out there?
I think it is, though, because you can't trust resources, because you don't know what the resources are. I definitely sit them down and be like, you know what? I'd sit them down and talk to them and just say, okay, this is the biological thing, right? So if it's a girl, I'm going to go deeper into sort of, menstruation, how all of that works. I would also do my research and, give them online resources. Because I'm sure there are certain things that I don't want to hear about me, like climaxes and all that shit. So that's fair enough. I admit that. How traumatizing is that to talk to parents about? So, I probably give them material that I have researched, that I've read, and give it to them, be like, you know what, we don't need to discuss the rest. Here's some books, read it. Don't talk to me about it, just do your thing. But I wouldn't just let them sort of, wander on the open field and let them wander and just get onto random porn sites. Oh god,
have you heard of those dads, those slimy dads that they take their kids to brothels and strip clubs?
Yeah.
To kind of let them have their first like sexual escapades or whatever, but no, that's too much. I think I would have that conversation with them. It wouldn't be like anything from like Meet the Fuckers, like nothing like that, but it would just be, I think it would depend on the kind of relationship I have with my kid as well, so we'll see. I think it's different with boys and girls as well. With girls I would definitely have that chat, but with boys it's kind of like, actually you probably do want to talk to the guy as well and just be like, look, don't objectify women, sex is a sacred kind of thing, and just respect it and blah blah blah. It would be a different kind of chat, but nevertheless, I feel like a chat does need to be done on both sides.
But that reminds me of I saw an interview with Chris Evans, not the comedian, but the actor, Captain America, Chris Evans, and he was talking about how he's really close with his mom and how he actually called his mum after he had sex for the first time. He was like,
oh my god,
I just did it. And I thought it was actually quite cute because he had that really close relationship with his mum and with his sisters and brother, and he was just really open about it. It was very sort of, I guess she just sort of tapped him on the shoulder, was like, well done son, move on.
Oh my gosh,
I doubt they had a big party, but I actually thought it was quite nice that they
I guess that
he felt confident enough. He probably didn't go like, oh, I did that move and I just came all over her face, but it was just more of a, Mum, I've done it. It was a big, because it is a big event in your life.
Yeah, it
is
is
a crucial point in your life. So
and I guess like essentially your parents want the best for you, so it's probably better to tell your mum than like, I don't know, especially for guys as well, the guy would be like, oh, did that happen or did this happen, and then he'd get you really probably paranoid and insecure about it, whereas your mum is like, the grown-up one who's more kind of, she's got your best interest at heart and she's more willing to kind of support you and be like, okay, well done and whatever. So yeah, I guess it's not really the worst thing. It is a bit awkward thinking about it now, but really it's not that bad. By the way, random, forgot to mention this, but have you heard of menstrual glue?
No, but it sounds really disgusting.
Yeah, it's really bad. Apparently some guy wants to create this period glue and women are just absolutely coming for him, like really pissed off. Some disturbing but unsurprising news. A Kansas-based chiropractor and human version of the word actually wants people to control their periods with, wait for it, glue. It's basically intended to stop menstrual blood. It seals together the labias. It just stops it coming out, I guess. And then,
oh my god, Jesus, what's this problem?
I don't know. And it says the glue, apparently made of amino acids and oils, is a lipstick applicator, and it will allegedly dissolve when the user urinates, setting the stopped up blood free. Oh my gosh, I don't really get why he'd want to invent that. Like, why are men inventing things for women, especially when it comes to periods? It's not your area, darling.
Do you read this? Because you know how female hygiene products are so ridiculously expensive. And I think they raised the tax, or there was a discussion on raising the tax even further and making it even more expensive. And I read this tweet by a lady going, you know what, I'm sick of this. I think if they think that it's a luxury item for women to have, tampons and pads, what we should do is all women, we should just stop using tampons and pads and just bleed all over the place. And then we'll see how the men react. They will throw it after us for free.
Oh,
and I was just like, yeah, that would be so funny if that actually happened. Like, they would literally just give it to us for free. Just like, please use this.
Take it.
Yeah, we'll pay you to use it.
Oh my god. Yeah, apparently
so
this guy said the reason that he invented this is women are focused on and distracted by their periods 25% of the time, making them far less productive than they could be. Oh, please.
I know not all men, I know, hashtag not all men, but a lot of them are proper cunts. Like, honestly.
I know, the majority really that we've come across these days. But, oh god, that's a topic for another podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Men and their asshole ways.
Most mosaics, war on men.
War on men. Oh my god, let's do that. That sounds amazing. Oh my god, we have to get people contributing as well, people calling in. That would be a blast. Like, that would be the podcast topic.
Yeah, that would be the ultimate one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think we mentioned it earlier as well, that this, like, right now, 2017, 2016, this is the perfect time that we're living in to sort of, to introduce that discourse on it. And we just, everyone's discussing it. There's so much discourse, from academia to, to social networks, social platforms, to discuss the female body, the female sexuality, the female sex. And, it's such a time for women's rights and, for women to reclaim their right. We get to own our bodies, enjoy sex and talk about it openly. So I think that's, as you said earlier, I think there's a long way to go. But
yeah, I think as I think the message is, own your sexuality, whatever that really means to you, or don't. Like, who cares really? Just do whatever is comfortable to you. And
exactly, yeah.
And yeah, just be open about talking about it, because really we all experience it in different ways.
Exactly, yeah. So for the kids out there, I think my number one advice, if anyone wants to hear it, is just relax, I suppose. Just don't stress about it. It'll all be fine. You'll find your own space, I suppose, and you fit in. So just do you, be confident in what you're doing. There is no right or wrong. Just do whatever you're comfortable with. And for the parents or gonna be parents, or educators, teachers out there, just talk about it, start conversations about it with both women and men. We've predominantly talked about women in this podcast, but growing up as a boy these days, that's not an easy task either.
No, not at all. No.
So yeah, talk about it. Don't be afraid of discussing it or asking questions about it. There's loads of adults that really don't know what's going on.
God knows, I wish that when I was a teenager, I wish I had someone to ask. Do you know what I mean? Like, just even an older sister, older woman, just to ask and feel like I can talk about those things.
Yeah.
But because it's just such an embarrassing topic, or whatever, or it used to be. I never brought it up with anyone. But yeah, definitely talk about it to someone you trust, and someone older preferably, someone not like a crackhead person or someone who's like irresponsible and a dickhead, just like an older person who like has their head screwed on and wants the best for you.
And if you can't find anyone, just email us and ask us, and
yes, honey, please
we'll show you the way. We'll be your mentors and your leaders.
We will,
your spiritual leaders.
Oh Lord,
that'll be our second career.
Okay guys, well that's all wrapped up for today. Thanks for listening. Join us next week when we'll be talking about the ins and outs of dating. Fun stuff.
Yes. It's all about love.
Of course. And if you want to suggest a podcast topic, give us feedback, or even send us nudes. No, don't send us nudes. Get in contact via our email, mostmosaic@gmail.com, or tweet us at most_mosaic.
Indeed. Thanks guys for tuning in. Thanks for sticking with us for an hour and a half or something. And hopefully see you next time.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
See you.